The University of Washington is renewing the way it prepares teachers. Teachers for a New Era, funded by the Carnegie Corporation of New York and other foundations, is intended to stimulate the development of exemplary teacher education programs and to assure we are educating prospective teachers of the highest quality possible.
The University of Washington has long been recognized as one of the great research universities in the country, and now we're entering into a time where it's also critically important that we become one of the great teaching and learning institutions as well. There's few greater challenges facing the United States and even beyond the United States than to improve the quality of the educational process to make sure that our young people today get access to world-class education and that our teachers are prepared for and are highly skilled with the talents that they need to be successful in the classrooms of today, a rapidly changing classroom for all of us.
We are long from I taught it and they just didn't get it. We have to work on instructional strategies to reach diverse learners. We have to have the skills as educators to reach every child.
Despite a decade of educational reform efforts, both at the national and state level, we have an educational crisis on our hands. That educational crisis is called the achievement gap. The achievement gap is created not due to a lack of skill or competency on the part of minority students, but due to a lack of opportunity. The Teachers for a New Era project is working hard in collaboration with P-12 schools, College of Ed faculty, and arts and science faculty to address these problems.
Teachers for a New Era is organized by 3 design principles. Evidence, including data on pupil learning, should guide program renewal at the university. Arts and sciences faculty should be engaged in the preparation and support of teachers. Teaching should be understood as an academically taught, clinical practice profession.
The first design principle is absolutely fundamental, both in Carnegie's view. Every time we discuss it with them, Dan Fallon in particular, emphasizes the importance of this, that it's not good enough to think we're being successful as teachers. The important thing is to actually see that success. And the only way to see that we're successful with teachers is to see that they're successful with their students. And we already saw that in a project with Lonnie Horn and Jim King, which already is a collaboration of the 2 colleges, education and arts and sciences. Jim King is a professor in the math department. Lonnie, of course, is in the College of Education.
Our university team had a retreat with the teachers where we talked about, well, why are so many students failing and what can we do about it? We looked at data, we just did a brainstorm about all the reasons.
Because sometimes there's concepts that I don't even know why I'm doing them.
Since it's so hard, that people just give up at it.
It's just a bunch of numbers and it's, I don't know, I don't use math in my life. I mean, I guess I do every once in a while, but not all this like crazy stuff about triangles and all.
We decided that we wanted to change the way we teach.
First of all, for me, just as department chair, I think they give me the support and just to be able to go ahead and keep working on this and keep doing it. There are many people out there in Seattle schools that would be able to work with this model and at least initially with their freshman classes start doing it. And I think it becomes contagious. As I've noticed within our building, some of the people that just teach honors, I know one of our teachers was just saying, now what are we doing to keep this going? And so just by seeing us work together and seeing the camaraderie, then people are saying, you know, yeah, what are we going to do next?
If we want schools to produce more powerful learning for students, then we have to provide more powerful learning opportunities for teachers.
Arts and sciences faculty should be engaged in the preparation and support of teachers.
We know there are a lot of faculty in arts and sciences involved in the schools because we, get that kind of information, but I don't think that they necessarily work with one another or know that they have common interests.
I think one of the most important things that we can do is to have arts and sciences faculty begin to think there are future teachers in my classroom. And in the process of doing that, they might say, well, what do they need to know as a future teacher? And what am I modeling for them as a teacher myself that will help them become a better teacher?
Well, it's pretty hard to have a common mission among arts and sciences, School of Ed, and the schools, unless you make it a larger mission of our society. And therefore we said, okay, what is the public mission of preparing educators, to which all of them must contribute? So public mission was clearly what would bring everybody together. And of course, our public mission of our schools and of our teacher education programs is to prepare people for effective, responsible citizenship.
Teaching should be understood as an academically taught clinical practice profession.
Our approach to the academically taught, clinically based profession is to create a continuum of support for teachers from the time they enter undergraduate programs until the time they finish their 5th year of teaching. The reason we're interested in creating a coherent, interlocking system of support for teachers, a continuum, has to do with the fact that currently we lose nearly 50% of new teachers out of the profession in the first 5 years because the quality of support they get is so minimal that they really don't feel that they can be successful. Second of all, we know that the goals in education are much more strident now. We hope that every child will learn. And so teachers need a more comprehensive, a more complex skill set in order to be able to provide every child with a capacity to be successful.
Working with the people who are on the academic side of things at the University of Washington helped me learn, it gave me more tools to work with my students. So more tools to reach all of the individuals I have in my classroom.
These are filthy. This is what we work on. We gotta type up all our work and stuff.
Yeah, we have to work on different things.
Like there's a thing called Black History, right? And see, we gotta write a story, and then this is our pre-writing, and then we write our rough draft on here, and then we print it, and then we do our final draft on here after they check it and print it. See, that's what I'm talking about right there.
Well, I think as you look at what's happening, several things are causing pressures on people like me that teach methods courses. One, we were all prepared as teacher as performers and student activities. The tension was, what was the teacher doing? What activities the kids doing? All of a sudden, what we're now asking ourselves, what are the students doing? I mean, I'm very successful at the old model. I'm very good at it. But the issue is, are the kids learning?
I'll be doing my student teaching in Mrs. Berg's and Mrs. Wong's class, 4th grade class at Bailey Gatzert. Something that's been really instrumental and extremely helpful in this program is the melding of theory and practice in a really tangible way. So instead of having classes just in Miller Hall, we get to come out into the schools. We've done day methods courses at various schools that we have partnerships with.
Another of our colleagues who does the math ed work in the secondary program saw some direct evidence from her own observation in other courses of the difficulties that her students were having taking up and transferring ideas that she thought she had taught very effectively in her math methods course. And the next quarter, she took them all down to the school that she was working at and put their methods course in the classes.
So everyone right now is in different classrooms at Sanislo, seeing the kids in the entire school solve a problem of the day. And the kids have been given a number sentence, and they are supposed to create a story problem around it. So we're looking to see how challenging that is for children, and what's difficult about it, what's easy about it. And when we get back, we'll look at the student work to think about if it was challenging, how do you give kids access, and if it was too easy, how do you make the task more difficult? So that's what we're doing. All right.
Good.
Sure. There were 14 kids in the park. A couple more came. Now there are 25 children in school. The answer is 11. I got it.
So what we're having to do in my own course is say, all right, let's start with student work. What do we want there? What would be proof that kids are learning, and then drive that back. So I'm rethinking my methods course and the way that I structure it from kind of teacher-centered to more student-centered.
So today we are doing a mini lesson on reading strategies. It is making predictions. And this is something that we did cover in methods class as a way to get students engaged in the text that they're reading. We started making predictions on Monday, and just looking at what students have been doing, we thought that it would be useful to revisit this strategy and to give them more practice. All right, folks, just a quick reminder. When you're filling out your predictions and justifications, the justification is the most important part. We want to know the evidence upon which you based your prediction.
If we really want to improve learning, we have no choice but to improve teaching. As the 19th century French philosopher Victor Cousin put it succinctly, as is the teacher, so is the school.
We've just begun the difficult work, and our challenge now is to think about ways in which we can better engage our community, policymakers, individuals who are key stakeholders in our children's education. How do we get them engaged in the work so that we can then address the collective needs of all of our students within the P-12 system?
We are really committed to making this an equitable, honest partnership, where I see faculty in arts and sciences and faculty in the College of Education looking to teachers from the schools and saying, well, what's your perspective on that? What do you know about that? And how can you help me think about that differently? This tripartite partnership at the University of Washington is really one of the most impressive things I've ever seen in my career as an academic, and I'm in awe constantly of watching the groups of folks who are sitting at these tables as honest partners and collaborators in trying to address the real commitment that they all have to make the best conditions for students to learn. And that piece is, to my mind, one of the long-lasting things that I think will come out of this work for us, is that we will have changed the way that the teachers in the schools relate to us, and more importantly, the way we relate to them. We want to see what their knowledge base is, and for them to share their knowledge base with our knowledge base, and then we go forward together as a partnership. And that's a really powerful thing.
If we don't raise a public of responsible citizens, then our democracy and this country are in serious trouble.